Alright gamers, welcome back to the Zombies ranking series. Today we will be placing none other than Shi No Numa on the tier list. One of the most remade maps of all time, if not the most remade map. Shi No Numa is going to be an interesting episode, as I think this iteration of the map is probably my least favourite, spoiler alert. But I will try give it a chance on my next playthrough and get back to you guys and see if I was right or wrong by the end of the video. Of course, I have to have the obligatory, if you enjoy, please leave a like or a subscription, as it helps me out massively. This series is taking a long time for me to finish, so any help with the channel would be appreciated, as we are aiming for 500 subscriptions by the end of the year, and we just reached halfway there as of the last episode. So yeah, it's really helping out. If you disagree or agree with anything I say in the video, please let me know in the comments, and let's go get started talking about Shi No Numa. Alright, again, we're going to start with the positives of the map. Similarly to Verrucht, we have more positives than negatives, which you guys should enjoy while it lasts. Looking at you Black Ops 1 fans, as that is going to change really soon. The first thing I would like to talk about is the difficulty and how Treyarch seems to have neared perfection of their zombies formula with Shi No Numa. The addition of super powerful one-hit wonder weapons, such as the Wonder Wap, and the removal or reduction of the super sprinters from Verrucht really drastically improves the gameplay experience. The Wonder Wap may be super overused today, which I have taken into account in later maps, but I do also have to look at it into the overall spectrum of Call of Duty Zombies and look at how these changes have generally improved the specific map on which they were introduced. So more than me complimenting Shi No Numa for having a standard feature today, I'm complimenting the improvement of the gameplay from the previous maps in the same game. While I do believe this exact feature has been implemented on the same map better later on in the series, I will try not hold that against this iteration of the map. The Wonder Wap, being an infinite damage one-hit wonder weapon that kills upwards of 10 zombies around a shot, is amazing, especially on this map where the zombies are capped at 24 per round, I believe. Meaning that even in these super high rounds, you can get through most of them with relative ease with the Wonder Wap. Speaking on the ease of this map, it is one of the easiest maps that Treyarch has ever released in the history of the mode, even to this day. Not only does the zombies' health scale really strangely in the later rounds, but the help of the infinite damage wonder weapon and the zombies round cap really just all combines to create one of the easiest experiences in Call of Duty Zombies. This map is also the first to add our lovable cast of characters into the mode, which of course is a really nice addition, as these characters go on to be fan favourites and were used all the way through up until Black Ops 4. These characters are very funny and they add a lot of charm to the map with their topical one-liners and funny jokes. They also begin the storyline explanations here, even though it goes much more in depth at a later stage. It is nice to see that Treyarch was thinking of the narrative and these characters' personalities from the very beginning of the mode. I would also like to talk about the addition of the two new traps on the map, these being the zipline and the flogger. Both of these traps serve their own unique function, the flogger and the electric traps being used for the high rounds and the zipline being more of a mobility tool, which is really nice to see. The zipline would have been even more useful if it was at all four corners of the map, but as of the actual making of the map, it serves its purpose for the one area that it is in, but its usefulness dies off rather quickly if you're not in that area. Looking at the flogger, this trap is really cool. Not only is it super useful as it's in one of the main areas I use for training on the map, but it is also connected to the hub area where the player will visit whenever they move from one area to another. It also looks super aesthetically pleasing and fits the theme of the map overall. One final positive I would like to mention is the randomized perks. I know this has been done later in other maps to better effect, but I really enjoy the replayability and the make or break moments that it forces in the buying of doors, and it's a fun little gameplay twist that I think really benefits the map. I have to also mention the Hellhounds introduction here between the good and the bad feedback, as it's not necessarily a positive in this case, but it's definitely not a negative either. Looking at the Hellhounds that are present in Shi No Numa, I have to say that this is probably the scariest and most intense iteration of this mini boss slash ammo round zombie that we've ever seen being introduced. In Shi No Numa, the Hellhounds are very fast and they will kill you very quickly if you're not prepared. They will catch up to you very easily and they'll down you. I do enjoy this aspect of the Hellhounds, and of course I love how they look. The design of the Hellhounds has always been a 10 out of 10. My main issue with the Hellhounds actually stem from all the other maps that they are in and their overall reliance on Hellhounds, and how they've become a bit of a joke from their starting selves here, which is a shame, especially when you take into account where they began in Shi No Numa. They're so good in Shi No Numa, and then in later maps they're just a bit of a joke. I'm not deducting marks from Shi No Numa here, but it has kept it from being a positive because of their overall reliance, which is a pity. But I didn't deduct marks. Moving on to the negatives, I have two. One is really holding the map back for me, and the other is more of a nitpick. So the map won't lose that many marks for it, but I will take it into account. The main issue I have with Shi No Numa is the movement mechanics, and by that I directly mean the mud and the water. I know it's not all over the map, but in the places where it is located, I just find it to be a big annoyance for me. I've always hated maps that slow you down, as it just ruins the gameplay flow in my opinion. There's not really fun about being slowed down in games, in any games, particularly zombies. This is going to be brought up again at a later stage, I am 100% sure, because Treyarch seems to really enjoy using mud and water and slow down mechanics, which I just really don't like. Origins in particular is one I can think of off the top of my head, but I know there's probably more. But for now, I did have to mention it, as this was the first map to introduce this, and it just doesn't really serve a purpose. I know it's a swamp, but I would just prefer if the water didn't slow you down, if it was like knee height or something. Not even knee height, if it was lower, and it just didn't slow you down. I just think you could still get the same aesthetic off without negatively impacting the gameplay. I don't really think it adds anything. There's ways to avoid it, but often the quickest way to your object is to go through the water, and I just don't like that aspect of the gameplay. The final negative thing I would like to add is that I just don't really like how this map looks. I'm not commenting on the layout at all here. I actually really enjoy the layout with the four corners. I think that is really good. I'm talking more about the aesthetic. I think while it's gross intentionally, like it's an ugly area because it's a swamp, I just don't really like it. I find it really ugly to look at, and I find it often gives me headaches when I'm playing this map for a longer period of time. This is, again, a nitpick, so I won't take that much off the map for that, but I do have to take it into account. And it's not just the old graphics, before anyone jumps down my throat and says it's old graphics. I play Fallout New Vegas, I play Fallout 3. They are some of the worst looking games I've ever played. Graphically, I think they have a really nice art style to them, but graphically they aren't that great. But I still really enjoy the game, and I'm able to play it for ages. So this is just an aesthetic thing for this map in particular. I can play any of the other maps on World at War, and I actually think they look quite good. So that is, as I'm saying, just an aesthetic thing, and I won't be negatively impacting the map all that much for that. Okay, so that's my overall thoughts on Shi No Numa. I am not that much of a high round player, so I haven't really mentioned how easy it is to high round on that map. I did mention the difficulty, but I didn't mention how easy it is to high round on this map, but it is incredibly easy to high round. I have taken this into account while marking, but it's not really a big thing for me, so I didn't specifically mention it or call it out. This is another map that I feel progresses the gameplay experience and the quality of the mode as a whole, with new gameplay additions and the addition of the first real proper wonder weapon. I think as this progresses, I have to rank this higher than the last two maps. I feel like, if I'm being honest, this map takes the first place in our B rankings. If it stays here for the entire tier list, I will be very impressed, as I feel like it will get downgraded as I go. But the map truly is a fun experience at the beginning, and I think I would play this again. If I was to log on right now, I would play it over the original two maps. The foundation is still being built, but you can see the progression from Verrucht and Nocturne Toten here towards its final completed form in Doris, which we'll be talking about next week. Now again, if you did enjoy the video, leave a like and a subscription. If you made it all the way, congratulations. I know I'm a bit of a bore. If you agree or disagree with anything I said in this map, please leave a comment below. And if you have any feedback for the series as well, leave a comment below and let me know. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you next week for Doris.